Hey, we're back. I'm so excited. Welcome and thank you for joining me today for the third session of our Motionsoft Technology Summit webinar series. Today we're going to be discussing wearables and member engagement with MyZone Senior Training and Senior Account Manager, Emily Sopo. Are you ready? Okay, well, before we get started and introduce Emily, I want to thank our official media sponsor, the Fitness Business Podcast with host Chantal Broadwick, who will be supporting the Technology Summit and doing interviews as well as podcasts live from the 5th Annual Motionsoft Technology Summit. All right, so time to introduce myself. And speaking of supporting roles, my name is Todd Tweedy. I'll be your moderator for the webinar series and your host for the 5th Annual Motionsoft Technology Summit, which is going to be taking place in Washington, D.C. on October 3rd through 5th. We're just a week out, and speaking of schedules, I hope you're going to join me on Friday, October 12th at 2 p.m. when Phil Bonamo with Tanakh leads our next webinar on Data Drives Decisions. And I don't know if you knew this, but at URSA 2018, Tanakh actually unveiled the first facility management data platform that focuses on member workout data. Really neat platform and kind of an end-to-end all-encompassing view of the member experience at your club. I hope you'll make it for this session. It's going to be a great one. All right, so speaking of signing up, next week, very excited, the 5th Annual Motionsoft Technology Summit. There are still a few tickets. Hotel rooms are going to be hard to find, but I hope you can join us. This is going to be an amazing event. We have a very, very special guest. I can't tell you the name of the company, but it's an executive who's been working in and around our space, and I think you're going to find that this company's offerings are earth-shattering. We'll also have Jim Worthington, who's the owner of the Newtown Athletic Club, as well as our new URSA board chair. He'll be one of our opening keynote speakers. The first day is actually going to end with a keynote from Matrix Fitness and Andrew Coleman, who's going to be talking about Matrix's movement into member experience. All right, so I'm so excited to tell you about our presenter today, but before I do that, I'll remind you that this webinar is being recorded. Your microphones are muted, but you'll have the ability to ask questions via the chat feature that I'll review momentarily. After this webinar concludes, you'll be sent an email with a link to download the presentation. Very excited now. If you could please, let's just take a moment and make sure everyone's familiar with the webinar control panel. If you could please click on the questions tab towards the bottom of the control panel. Fantastic. And go ahead and just type in Emily. Excellent. Thank you, Robert. Rebecca, you got it. Fantastic. I'm glad you guys get how to use this tool so easily. All right, so during the webinar, this is the tool you use to submit questions to Emily. So if you could or have a question already, go ahead and pose your question inside of the control panel interface, and I will knock them out once we get to them. All right, finally, here we go. Now it's my privilege to introduce today's leader, Emily Sopo, who's a master trainer and senior account manager at MyZone. Emily has experience as a group fitness instructor, personal trainer, fitness manager, and of course as a master trainer. She's a certified personal trainer who's been in our industry for over a decade and has been a group fitness instructor through AFAA. All right, Emily holds her master's in exercise science from California State Long Beach. It's my pleasure to introduce our leader for today's session, Emily Sopo. Emily, welcome to the Motionsoft Technology Summit webinar series.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for having me. We are going to hop right in today with the presentation, and it looks like I've got to go back. There we go. Here we go. All right. I'm so glad to be here today to present on how to engage members using wearable fitness technology. Sorry, here, one second, guys. There we go. Okay. So to start off today's presentation, I want to give you a little bit of an introduction into who I am, where my experience lies, and really it started out almost with MyZone. I've been, like Todd was saying, a group fitness instructor and personal trainer for the past several years, and I was introduced to MyZone in 2012, almost at the start of the company, which was 2011. When we started utilizing MyZone at the fitness facility where I worked. And so I used it as a member, I used it then as a trainer and group fitness instructor, and then as moving up in the company, used it as my role of assistant director overseeing our fitness programs, and now, of course, as a master trainer and senior account manager. So I've gotten to see wearable technology, specifically MyZone, from the perspective of a member, of a staff member, a fitness staff member, and of course, someone who's working behind the scenes as well as a club operator. So that's where my level of experience with MyZone starts, and I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you about engaging your members, because I have seen MyZone and wearable technology have a huge impact on member engagement. Okay, so to hop into the key takeaways, just so you have an idea of what we're going to be discussing today, we will discuss the steps to integrate effort tracking into fitness programming, how to track member progress with wearable technology, and how to leverage social media related to wearable technology into our members' experience to ultimately enhance it. Now, we know that there are many factors that will impact the success of our fitness business, of course. From more of a programmatic perspective, looking at group fitness, personal training, small group training, here are a few key factors. Of course, the instructor coaching technique, the programming itself, the exercise selection, the progression of exercises, the support and motivation that's offered within and outside of these sessions, and of course, results, right? If members are seeing results, they're more likely to continue along that journey, continue paying for your services. The great news about how this integrates with wearable technology is that wearable tech, in whatever form it takes, can influence all of these key success factors. So wearable technology has been one of the top trends in the fitness industry for the past several years. Clients are almost coming to anticipate or even expect to see wearable technology in their club. It's almost the Orange Theory effect, if you will, right? They expect that they're going to see that and be able to use their data-driven results in order to gauge their success. I want to note that, of course, my experience lies with MyZone as a wearable technology, but you could certainly be using other wearable technologies within your fitness business and still reap a lot of benefits. So please don't feel like I'm just pushing MyZone at you. I'm going to try to keep this broad enough with a few MyZone related examples, of course, in order to show you what you can do with wearable technology. So wearable tech might come in the form of a heart rate monitor like MyZone. It might come in the form of a wrist-based device like a Fitbit, or maybe even an armband like the Scosh Rhythm. Whatever form it comes in, right, you're going to have a lot of options of how you can use it. It might measure your steps, your movement minutes, how often you're exercising on a weekly basis, monthly basis, how many minutes you spend active. It might even measure your heart rate like MyZone does. A quick note on that, if you are interested in tracking your members' heart rate using wearable technology, I strongly advise a chest-based device rather than a wrist or an arm-based device. And the reason is that research has shown time and time again that in terms of the technology, the chest strap is the most accurate. With MyZone, we have 99.4% accuracy compared to an ECG for reading heart rate. That accuracy level decreases the further you get from the heart, particularly for exercise that is not cardiorespiratory focused exercise like walking, running, cycling. When we start getting into more functional types of exercise, then the arm and the wrist-based devices tend to be less accurate. So that's my disclaimer, just kind of a note to you guys to keep in mind. All right, let's dive in a little bit more. So we know that wearable technology is really powerful and it is a top trend. We also know that it actually has an impact. Research out of Newtown Athletic Club looked at the 30, 60, and 90 days and that journey of a new member, how frequently they were visiting the club at each of those different marks. And they found that MyZone integrated facilities had a higher frequency of visits at the 30, 60, and 90-day mark, even though they did still follow that general trend of decreased frequency over time with new members. Another case study indicated that MyZone users at a club versus non-MyZone users at a club had a higher length of membership. So they were members for longer, they visited more often, and they paid more. They purchased more stuff while they were there. They paid for paid programming and things like that. So they were contributing more to the business overall. And I really like this one here. If a MyZone user forgets their belt, 30% say that they are okay with it. 50% say that it would puncture their workout motivation, so it's integrated into the fabric of their workouts, and 20% say that they would actually abandon their workout altogether. I'm guilty of wanting to do this so much. When you forget it, you know that it is just an awful happenstance. UK Active also found that when they were looking at a 6-month study, that there was a higher retention rate in clubs that had MyZone versus clubs that did not. So again, not to be too much of a MyZone advertisement, wearable technology can have this effect in many different forms, but I do want to just highlight that it can really make an impact on retention, member spend, that type of thing. All right, so let's say that you have decided to pursue wearable technology at your club, and now what do you do with it? We're going to talk a lot about the step-by-step process from a perspective of integrating that technology into the actual programming that you might offer. But before we do, I just want to give kind of an overview of a few other things that you might want to be considering. These are best practices that we've found to be most successful in clubs who sell the most MyZone belts and who have the most member engagement. First is to run challenges. With MyZone, you can actually design challenges within our platform and run them, and it's all housed through MyZone. If your wearable technology doesn't have that ability, that's okay. You can certainly do it manually. What I mean by challenges is setting some goal that either all members or certain members are working toward. And I would recommend running this on a pretty regular basis. If it's all members, maybe it's going to be, every quarter. If it's a smaller group of members, maybe every month. But regardless, give them a goal and then create collateral around it. Make it a big deal at your club. The next thing is to offer recognition. So with recognition, I mean highlighting member achievements using that wearable technology. So with MyZone, we do have some tools that allow you to do that, such as an honor board, whereby you can post, as a club operator, you can post members who have hit certain targets, and you can even have it up on the wall if you wanted to. It might be something as simple as looking at the data that you've retrieved from that wearable technology, such as, let's see, exercise frequency, let's say. If someone has increased their exercise frequency to a fairly high level and you want to recognize them, maybe that goes into your newsletter or something like that. So making members feel recognized around their use of wearable technology is also key to integrating it. Of course, programming is going to be huge. That's the majority of what we'll talk about today. And before we do get into that, my last kind of quick tip here is that we have seen the most success for clubs who actually bake the technology into their pricing. Now, that could take many different forms depending on your structure, what you offer, what your pricing is, but I want to mention that outright because it really is a key to success. Members might not know the value of the wearable technology until they're actually utilizing it, right? So if you are a studio, maybe that wearable technology is baked into your initial payment of membership. Or if you are a bigger box and you've got small group training, maybe it's baked into that initial cohort that they sign up to join for small group training. Whatever it is, make it a non-negotiable and bake it into the pricing. And that's what we've seen to be most successful. Okay, let's dive into programming. This is a step-by-step overview, and we're going to touch on a lot of these things in greater detail. So the integration of wearable technology would start with an introduction to the technology by the trainer or sales team. You've got a new member or someone who's interested in wearable technology. Ideally, their trainer or maybe someone on sales is going to give them their, pitch about the technology and then a little intro to it once they've decided to purchase it. For MyZone, this might be that the trainer helps them to make that purchase and then helps them to download the app and get signed up with their registration, right? Whatever you choose to do, there's always got to be a why. And I would encourage you, if you're deciding to roll out a wearable technology, to train in your staff with a quick elevator pitch as to the why behind it. So for example, what we would recommend for MyZone is, Mrs. Jones, here's why we need you to purchase this today. Here's why it's included in your personal training package and why your personal training package is going to be a little bit more this month. The programming that we're going to offer you is built around this technology, right? It's going to allow us to offer more accountability through being able to track your effort than we otherwise would be able to. We wouldn't be able to tell how hard you're truly working without this piece of technology. And it's going to help us to measure your results and make sure that you're getting what you want out of this program, what you're paying for. So that's the intro. Next up, include the wearable technology in your initial assessment with that client. Now, if you are talking about just members, maybe members who are just doing group fitness, maybe not a paid program, maybe you don't do initial assessments, but if you do, here's what you might do. We'll talk about what the assessment will look like, but certainly include the wearable tech in that assessment. Next, you'll want to utilize the wearable technology within the workout. This with MyZone is easy to do because it's been designed for a setting in which you're getting live workout feedback. Maybe with other wearable technology, it might not be so clean cut, and you'll have to kind of, edit this structure, but you get the idea that integrating it into the actual program itself, into the workouts, is really helpful. And then also use that technology to offer outside recommendations. Recommendations when those members aren't working with you, aren't actually in your club. The idea here is to become bigger than just that club they go to twice a week and get a really hard workout in, right? It's to become part of their fitness journey overall, meaning they're thinking about you on the weekends. They get a notification from you when they're not at your club. There are a lot of tools out there to help with this, and wearable technology now offers a little piece of that. We'll talk about what that might look like. And then, of course, include the wearable tech in your post-assessments and then goal assessment. So you can see listed out here, this is a pretty straightforward step-by-step process. So let's dive in a little bit more. Let's talk about the assessments. And it looks like, guys, I keep on clicking the wrong button. All right, there we go.
I hate when that happens.
I know. It's the enter or the forward, and I keep clicking forward. Okay, so assessments. It really doesn't matter what type of assessment structure you have at your club. You can integrate wearable technology in so many ways. So let's say that you don't want to integrate a brand new test into the club or into your assessment structure. That's okay. We'll talk about that in just a second. But let's say that you do want to integrate some sort of assessment revolving around that wearable technology. With something like heart rate and a heart rate monitor like MyZone, it's easy to do. There are a ton of pre-designed assessments that you can be running, whether it's a 3-minute step test, a cycloergometer test, or a distance run, whatever it might be. There are a lot of options out there. There's also the MZ fitness test. So now this is more focused on MyZone. This MZ fitness test is a test that takes exercisers through the various exercise intensity zones, or effort zones, if you will, and actually at the end measures their heart rate recovery and then stores that data within the MyZone app to look at later. So you can, of course, start to integrate that. What's nice about that is that it can be used in one-on-one, small group, or large group personal training, because you just need a MyZone belt. The instructor really doesn't have to keep a list of scores or anything of that nature. All right, so assessments are definitely going to be key. A few things that you can be tracking. You can look at heart rate recovery like I just talked about. You can look at resting heart rate, again, assuming your wearable technology includes heart rate as a data point. The reason why heart rate recovery and resting heart rate are so important is because they are indicative of our cardiorespiratory health and fitness. So if you're not including them, but you think that might be important, then definitely reach out and I can give you some sample assessments or tell you more about the MZ fitness test. Other things that you can be tracking with clients include their exercise frequency, the exercise intensity, so looking at their effort, and then their goal attainment, right? And maybe these are different factors that are available on certain pieces of wearable tech and not on others. You're gonna have to pick and choose what makes the most sense. But something I was thinking about is, gosh, how easy would it be to just add one little checkpoint on your assessment sheet with how many times did Mrs. Jones work out last month? Most wearable tech includes that type of data, right? Your trainer could write in, you worked out 6 times this month, and then next month it was 10. Let's look at your progress. So very easy to integrate if you do it the right way. Another thing that you can do is be looking at body metrics. The beautiful thing about wearable technology now is that it integrates so much with other technology, right? So MyZone, for example, integrates with InBody, allowing us to store body composition data within the MyZone app. And that's why the app is robust. It includes a ton of data that's going to be valuable to members, not just their heart rate and their workout history. So lots of options here for how you could be looking at data, especially in that initial assessment. Okay, so the initial assessment is over. Let's talk about what it might look like to use wearable technology within your actual workouts and the workouts that your staff are running. Potentially, you'll want to build and offer effort targets. With MyZone, we use a metric called the MyZone effort point, or the MEP, which rewards effort over time. The harder you work, the more effort you put in, the more MEPs that you earn. Other wearable technology might have another point system with similar kind of guidelines there. So you might build an entire class with the goal of hitting 100 MEPs, if you will. That might be kind of a good goal for everybody to have. And we're not going to leave class until everybody hits their 100, right? Set a goal right from the beginning. With cardiorespiratory training, you might build the entire class out around the effort that's going to be put in. For example, with high intensity interval training, which is again, one of the top trends in the fitness industry right now, it's really easy to use something like a heart rate monitor to set goals for the work and the recovery phases of the exercise, right? So during the push phase or the work phase, I want you to hit the yellow and the red zone. And on the recovery, I want you to hit the blue and the green zone. It's giving your instructors a structure of what to talk about and how to coach. Like we talked about in the beginning with those success factors, the coaching technique. This is giving your instructors options for how they want to coach. With strength training, I just wanted to mention, because I know that when integrating wearable technology into a club, sometimes there can be pushback from staff, and typically the most pushback that I see is with folks who are more focused on strength or power training. Why should I integrate heart rate into that? And it's a valid point. With strength or power training, the primary success factor is looking at the load that you're lifting or the speed at which you lift it, right? Not so much heart rate. But what I would recommend doing is using that effort tracking device like MyZone to gauge recovery between sets. So it can still be applicable in any format that you're teaching. You just have to coach it the right way, right? So programming, let's talk about getting a little bit more creative though, with some actual games that you can play. MyZone is all about gamification, and I know that other wearables are as well, really focusing on this now because it really does enhance the member experience. So with gamification, you can do things like partner relays, right? With MyZone, you might have one partner working in the higher intensity zones, one partner working in the cooler zones, and then they switch at a certain point. It's creating these little games that, although they seem simple, make exercise fun, make it engaging and rewarding. You might do a recovery game whereby you see who in the class can recover the most within a minute, or who can recover the fastest after exercise, then highlighting the recovery that we talked about earlier that's so important to cardiorespiratory fitness. You might do a color pyramid or a ladder, as I might call it. So this is a structure of class whereby you are literally assigning goal zones in the form of a pyramid, so working your way up through the zones and then back down, or a ladder whereby you're either working your way up and then staying up, or coming back down after being at a higher intensity. So although it seems simple, it does give structure, and it gives members a little goal of what they need to be doing. Once they hit that goal, they feel good, they move on to the next goal. You could even do something like follow the leader. This might be for a more seasoned small group training class where the class actually knows a little bit more about the exercises and they feel pretty competent with them. Why not have the class or members of the class pick the exercise in the zone, and then they're teaching, they get their moment to shine in class. You can see that although these are fun and some might seem a little silly, they really do make members feel good. So we talked about what it might look like to integrate wearable technology into the class itself, into the programming. That's not all though. Next up would be post-assessments, looking at, did that member achieve the goals they set out to in the very beginning? We would review and set new goals with them, and maybe even plan for the next training package or cohort with them. And all of this is utilizing the data that you were able to retrieve from that wearable technology, right? Or at least you're including that wearable technology in the overall set of data that you're looking at to indicate if the client has been successful. All right, I want to talk now about social media. We know that social media is just a powerhouse. It's everywhere. I'm on it way too much. I'm sure many of you are as well. We can leverage the power of social media to enhance the member experience using wearable technology. This might come in many forms. For example, with MyZone, we actually have our app built as a social platform, which allows any member to connect, or any user rather, to connect with any other MyZone user around the world. Another piece of wearable technology might not have that integration to that level, but that being said, it is super easy these days to share data from wearable technology to pre-existing platforms like Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. So you can certainly edit this and tailor it to what's going to be best for your business. So let's go back and talk about that step-by-step process that I gave you in the very beginning of the intro with the trainer. Okay, so you've got the member with their wearable technology, they've been introduced to it, they've downloaded whatever they needed to download. Now we have the opportunity for a touch point on social media. Using MyZone, for example, you might have your trainer or your sales team as a standard operating procedure on their break, go in, find that new member on the MyZone app, and then try to become their friend, to socially connect with them or request their connection. It's kind of like Facebook or Instagram, but for workouts. So they send a little invite to be a social connection. Once that member approves the invitation, then the trainer or sales staff can send them a little message. Great to meet you today. I'm so excited to be working with you. I'll see you on Monday for your initial assessment, right? Touch point 1 is done. Between the assessments and actually utilizing that wearable tech in the workout, another opportunity for a touch point with the client. This might be, hey, Mrs. Jones, you did really great in your assessment today. I know we talked about personal training and you want to hold off for now, but I'm still going to just, see you here for your workouts and like them and comment, and then you let me know when you're ready to start training. Or really excited to work with you. Can't wait to see you for our next workout kind of thing. So option or opportunity 2 is that. Now, between actually using MyZone or using the wearable technology in the workout and then offering recommendations, there's another opportunity for a touch point. Maybe after the workout, you as the instructor take a photo of the entire class, and then you post it up on that social platform, whatever that social platform is. With MyZone, you can even share that picture through the MyZone app directly to members who are in the class who you're connected to. You can also go in, add a photo, add a title for your workout, like and comment on other people's workouts, because you can see all of them minute by minute. It is so cool. But you're being able really to offer support and motivation to clients and to members of your club, even when they're not with you, even after the workout is over. Okay. I would certainly recommend, if you have the opportunity as a trainer or instructor, to offer outside recommendations. I haven't talked about this much yet, but here's what I would say. We have the opportunity to essentially assign homework to our clients, right? Because with the power of social media and with wearable technology, we as fitness staffers are able to very easily see what our clients are actually doing outside of the gym, right? If they are working out those extra 2 days a week or whatever it might be. So certainly offering some recommendations can be helpful. With MyZone, it's extra easy because we have classes that are built into the MyZone app. So I could say, hey, I want you to go do this workout, and I'm going to check up on you on Sunday and see how it went, and make sure that I like it and comment on it. So between offering those recommendations and, of course, seeing the member again, or even seeing them for their post-assessment, there's the opportunity to go in, like that workout. Mrs. Jones, I saw you did that beach run on Sunday. It looks so great. Can't wait to see you for the next workout. Or when will I see you again? Pose it as a question so that they have to offer that response and are thinking about when they're going to come back to utilize your services. And then even after the post-assessment, opportunity for a touch point. So glad we worked together. Can't wait to see you for the next time or the next cohort. So you can see, I hope, that there's so many opportunities for us to have a bigger, deeper relationship with our customers, to our members, utilizing social media in relation to wearable technology. I want to show you now just a couple examples. So this is specifically from the MyZone app. With MyZone, I'm able to, like I said, find any other MyZone user and send them a social connection request. which is, again, really awesome because then if you look at the picture on the right, this is my friend Asia. I can see all of her workouts minute by minute. I can then like them and comment on them and show my support. I could go in and say, hey, great job today, Asia. I can also add a photo behind my workout. I can share it directly as a message to other folks within the app, and I can rename that workout. What I love about this is that if I'm adding a picture and members of the club who I'm connected with are seeing it, it's highlighting my business, right? So it's a little ad for me. It's also highlighting the sense of community that I have with the members who are working out with me. And it's a way for me to show that I'm working out just as hard as I want them to be. The image on the right is a message that I sent to a few folks in a little group that I have. So that's a way that you could share photos and messages as well directly on the app. Great if you have a big class and don't want to text everybody directly. All right, here's the great news, guys, as we wrap up this presentation. The power of social media actually works. We looked at data from MyZone users within our database, and what we found is that members who had, or users rather, who had at least 4 social connections earned 41% more MyZone effort points per month than users who did not have at least 4 social connections. What that means basically is that those members are either working out harder or longer, probably utilizing your services, if not certainly your facility, in order to do that. Users who receive at least 4 likes from other users work out 84% more or earn 84% more MEPs. If they take the time to give at least 4 MEPs, they work out or earn, rather, 101% more MEPs. Folks who receive at least 4 comments work out or earn 132% more per month. And if you take the time to actually give at least 4 comments, those users tend to earn 140% more MEPs per month. So I highlight this because I really think it's important that we're thinking about how can we integrate wearable technology in whatever form it is to enhance that member experience. And I hope that this presentation has given you a few ideas. And with that, thank you very much.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much, Emily. All right, attendees.
Yeah, thank you.
This is your chance to pose your questions to Emily, if you could. On our next slide, we have an overview of the control panel interface. Remember, just use the question framework there so that you can pose your questions to Emily. All right, I've got one from Rebecca. And Rebecca would like to know, what if I don't have a member who is wearing a wearable technology device in my class?
Yeah, Rebecca, that's a great question. And part of why I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation to try to make it as mandatory as possible and to bake it into the price of the program is to avoid that. It just makes it a lot easier from a programming perspective to coach directly to one or the other, right? That way you don't have someone with MyZone and a competitor and then nothing. It can be a little bit dicier, but it's certainly still doable. What I would recommend, probably find this as you're rolling out a wearable technology, is that before a lot of folks in the facility have it, you'll have this kind of hybrid class. What I would recommend is coaching based off of the wearable technology, but also coaching based off of effort, perceived effort. So you might, or feeling even. So you might say, with MyZone's case, I want everybody to work in the yellow zone for this exercise. If you don't have a MyZone belt, with this exercise, you should feel like you can only say a few words at a time. It should feel like it's pretty challenging. If you're on a scale of 1 to 10 and feel like maybe an 8 out of 10, that type of thing. So it's kind of just adding more vocabulary into your toolbox. And then I would always finish the class with, great job today, guys. If you would like to purchase, enter your wearable technology here. It's available at the service desk, and I'd love to see you on the app so I can see all your workouts, kind of thing. So add that pitch there at the end. I hope that helps, Rebecca.
Awesome, thanks, Emily. And actually, to kind of piggyback off that question from Rebecca, Caitlin has a follow-on concerning onboarding and member benefits. The first part is, how can my members share their tiles from the app?
Yeah, good question. So sharing the tiles directly from the app, I want to make sure I'm fully understanding. With MyZone, the way that it would work is that when you're working out, you have the live feedback displayed either at the club or on your app. And there's not a way to share that directly as it's happening. Now, that being said, what you could do after the workout is go in and very easily share your workout and with minute-by-minute data to social media. And that workout is also going to be displayed on the homepage of the MyZone app. So if I were your social connection, what I would do is open up my app and then see your workout right there on my feed, just like if you were on Facebook and saw someone posted a picture or whatever you post to Facebook these days. So yeah, lots of ways to share that data, although it won't be the live feedback on the app.
Gotcha. And then the second part of Caitlin's question is concerning the pricing strategy. And she asked, you mentioned that you can sell the wearable devices in the class. What if we were offering the devices to our members for free? How would that modify our pricing strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one we get frequently. So for whatever amount MyZone is sold to the club for, some clubs will choose to either bake that into the pricing and not even mention it to members, so they would just increase the price of the program itself, or they'll offer it as either an option or a mandatory product offering. The only kind of challenge with that is that then it kind of gives folks the option to decide if they want to purchase or not. And if you're going to be building your programming, it's just going to be easier to have it integrated in. So most clubs, I would say, will either integrate it in and bake it in either at cost or just slightly above cost, because there's of course other fees associated with your time and energy of baking it in, but certainly not a huge upgrade or upsell is going to be most successful for clubs. Does that make sense? I hope that was helpful.
Thanks, Emily. Yeah, definitely. I think there's a couple other folks here that are going thank you as well too. Thanks, Rebecca. Darren's also kind of nodding there as well too. So that was a good response and great question from Caitlin. Thank you. I've got one question now. Hold on, from Martin. And Martin says, I'm laser focused on retention and average length of membership. Is there data that you can share concerning how wearable technologies can improve our retention rates? Thanks, thanks, Martin.
Yeah, Martin, great one. Certainly. So in addition to a few of the slides that I shared in the beginning to just kind of kick off the presentation with some data that we've collected on MyZone, I would love to chat with you further on that. We do have some additional data as well. So please feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is very simple. It's just emily@myzone.org. And I would be more than happy to cover what that might look like, especially because we want to make sure that the information is tailored to your needs and your business.
I want to circle back to Caitlin's question on onboarding. And actually, I have a question. And I'm kind of curious, what's the average uptake rate for clubs that are using MyZone? What percentage of members are using your wearable technologies in clubs? Just ballpark average.
Yeah, it's such a good question, and it's such a hard question to answer. So I'll answer it like this, and I don't know that it's going to really appease the folks who want one response here, but the answer is it depends, but it depends on a lot of factors. So we'll have clubs in other countries who might make MyZone completely mandatory and have 100% of their users on MyZone, or even say you must purchase a MyZone vote or we're going to charge you something. Like, there's so many different ways that clubs choose to do it. You might have a larger club that just has it as an option and only has a small percentage of their users on it. So, and it also depends on the size. So if you're a studio versus a big box, what I would say in relation to that though is that MyZone is well equipped to help you get the most out of the wearable technology. So when you first decide to purchase MyZone, you are assigned an onboarding specialist, an account manager who's there to walk you through your first 45 days with MyZone. And really our goal is just to make sure that you feel as comfortable as possible with your rollout strategy. So you'll have a lot of calls and screen shares and things like that with them. So they can work with you more one-on-one, because it does, like I said, it depends so much on your structure, your members, the different types of programs that you offer, that type of thing. So sorry, it's a more complicated question, but I think it is rightfully so.
I think one thing that strikes me as interesting is the integration aspect. And as you were talking about social and linking acknowledgement communications and talking about the effectiveness of likes and commenting as a way to increase member attendance or even potentially retention, it sounds like there's operational changes that need to take place to really leverage these technologies. And I think that integration piece into social is kind of interesting. Do you recommend that there's dedicated resources that are overseeing the program, and what do those resources need to be doing to be successful?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you asked that question. It's a really good one. Yes, and here's what it might look like for our clubs that are most successful. There will be a champion or two at that club on the ground there who can be the ones who are essentially the advocate of MyZone and who know how to best utilize it. We have a wonderful piece of technology with a lot of different features. We didn't even talk about half of the stuff that we can do in a class setting. So there's a lot behind it that you can really leverage. But having someone who is the champion of it is going to be first and foremost the key. That's kind of what we say is we always have to have a champion behind it for it to be successful. From changes in operations, potentially, some clubs will change some of their structure, whether it's pricing or whether it's the way that they're, designing their programming. It just kind of depends on what your club wants. But that being said, the clubs who seem to have the most success with MyZone, one, have a champion, and then two, have it baked into some sort of program. And oftentimes that program is small group training or personal training. And that tends to be where we see the most success, because that's where you can really have like a one-on-one experience with members, even though you might be in a small group setting.
Oh, fantastic. And hey, fantastic questions from our attendees today. I can't thank you guys enough for joining us. Emily, one final question for you. How can folks get in touch with you if they want to learn more information about MyZone?
Yeah, for sure. Please go ahead and email me. My email is emily@myzone.org. If your question is more of we're interested in purchasing MyZone, then I will connect you with the right person on our sales team. So reach out to me and I'll get you in the right spot.
Fantastic. And with that, thank you for joining us today for Session 3 of our Motionsoft Technology Summit webinar series. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing everyone in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, October 3rd for the kickoff of the 5th annual Motionsoft Technology Summit. Have a great day, and we'll see you on October 12th for our next webinar. Bye-bye.